Yeah, we're sitting here with Bobby Sullivan, who's running for sheriff of Hernando County. Bobby, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? How long have you lived here in Hernando County?
I've lived here my whole life, 50 years. Born and raised in Brooksville, and I'm a product of the Hernando County school system. And went to work when I was probably 18 and a half at Hernando County Animal Control.
Oh, really?
After I went to the police academy, yes.
Okay.
Because I went to the police academy, the law allowed you to become an officer at age 18 back then. And I actually started the police academy when I was 2 months shy of 18. And had to get a special waiver from the governor to start at that age, because I was going to be graduating. When I graduated the police academy, I would be 18. So did that, but it really didn't pan out because nobody would hire me because I was too young. I was too young to be a law enforcement officer. Looking back on it, I agree. An 18-year-old with a badge and a gun, not a good idea. So my old football coach saw me one day at Golden Corral and he asked me how the job hunt was going. I told him, people think I'm too young, and he said, well, come to work for me. I'll put you to work at Animal Control. And that was Pat Fagan. Who,
okay.
And he was, at the time, he was in charge of the Fair Association, Parks and Recreation, and Animal Control. So I did about a year and a half of Animal Control, and then, still too young. Melvin Kelly was the sheriff for Hernando County. He was good friends with my dad. And he told my dad to tell me that, you know, I'll put him to work, but he's got to do 2 years in dispatch, 2 years in the jail, then maybe we'll put him on the road. So I just pelted applications all over the place and got hired by a very young sheriff in Pasco County named John M. Short. Matter of fact, he was, at the time he was the youngest elected sheriff. He was 29 when he was elected. And he hired me when he was 31. And the rest is pretty much history. I stayed at Pasco for 26 years, continued living here in Hernando County because they allowed it. We had an adjoining county policy. If you lived in an adjoining county, you didn't have to move. So I spent that time commuting and worked my way up from a midnight shift patrol deputy to retire as a captain.
And you're married, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any children?
Yes, sir. I've got a daughter, Courtney, who's 18, and she's going to be starting at St. Leo University in the fall. And I've got a 9-year-old.
What does your wife think about you running for sheriff?
She's 100% with me. As a matter of fact, she's been very, very encouraging.
Tell me, you know, what started you wanting to do this? Why do you want to run for sheriff here in Hernando County?
My love for the community, my love for Hernando County, the fact that it's as much a part of me as my DNA, and I know beyond a doubt that I will be a much better sheriff than the currently appointed sheriff. Interesting, Sam. It happens to be something I know something about, is animal control. I'm 100% for that idea with a couple of caveats. Because it is, in effect, a type of law enforcement. There are state statutes and there's county ordinances that deal with animal laws. Animals running at large, cruelty to animals, animal neglect. So it is an enforcement. It is an enforcement discipline. My reservation is, I think it gets a little bit overly complicated to just take the officers and not take the total operation of the kennels and the kennel workers. I would be more inclined to take the entire operation. Not just segment it to where I have the officers and not the kennel.
Would you, with the problems that they've had, would you keep the current staff that's there?
With the sheriff's office, I've been completely focused and studying that operation and the folks there. I've got to be totally honest with you, I have not really done my research into. I know some of the problems with the dog that was put down.
Right. With Zeus.
With Zeus. I would tell you this, that I would have to go in and strongly take a look at everybody that is in there, their histories, interview them, and find out what their love, their passion, their weakness, and their strengths are, and make that determination at a later date.
Well, let's go back to code enforcement. I had that on my mind earlier too. You know, a lot of the county commissioners seem to think that, you know, they've got to keep code enforcement, you know, there. But it's, you know, would you be inclined to, you know, take code enforcement into the sheriff's office also? Because it, you know, it's my understanding that, you know, the current sheriff doesn't want to take, you know, code enforcement under his wing.
Well, you have to take a look at the whole picture. Again, code enforcement is enforcing code. It is an enforcement type operation, which I could see the marriage with a sheriff's office. Absolutely, a lot of agencies have done it. A lot of municipalities have done it. A lot of sheriff's offices have done it. There are definite positives to that. Anytime, the way I look at it, anytime there's a duplication of efforts, a duplication of services, especially with the budgetary constraints that we're under now and that we're gonna be under in the coming years, I think that bringing these folks under one roof to where you can consolidate efforts and minimize cost is a good idea. I would certainly entertain that if the county commission is, the current county commission is hostile to that at the present time, because I have not, a lot of the county commissioners are my friends. I haven't spoken with them individually about the code enforcement piece.
Right.
I would certainly be open to speak to each one of them to determine if we could do it at a cost savings. I would certainly be more than willing to entertain that, as well as to eliminate the duplication of services. Plus, I think it's a duplication of efforts. I also think it would be kind of a positive idea to have code enforcement answering to one elected official instead of 5 different elected officials. I think that can be problematic. Nothing against our, I'm not pointing at our 5 commissioners now. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're doing an outstanding job from what I see. But I've seen these studies before being reasoning for why sheriffs or chiefs of police have adopted code enforcement to keep from any hint of possible wrongdoing, because there are so many entities that are affected by code enforcement officers. Right. And I've seen it said, I've seen it brought up as an issue, whether it was proven or not. I've seen it as newspaper fodder that, well, code enforcement treats this business differently than they treat that business because this business happens to be friends with that commissioner over there and not friends with this commissioner over here. So I just think that it would make a lot more consistency, and it would make that ethical line a whole lot clearer if they reported to the chief law enforcement officer of the county.
So basically you're saying that if they were to answer to an elected official, that elected official should be the sheriff.
That's my personal thought on it, yes.
Okay. Have you gotten any feedback from, you know, current staff at the sheriff's office? You know, what kind of feedback have you been getting from them about you running for sheriff? It's
incredible. I've spent, let me see, I've been to 11 different living rooms of current officers who have invited me to come to their house and speak to them and their family, and they would invite over fellow law enforcement officers, fellow Hernando deputies, and their neighbors, just to see, you know, what my stance is on issues, and how I would lead, what my thoughts and philosophies are on how to take Hernando County Sheriff's Office to the next level. With the budgetary constraints that we do have, the support has been overwhelming. It really is. And that right there, Sam, is putting gas in my tank. When I'm sitting in that deputy's living room, or that sergeant's living room, or that detective's living room, and they're asking me to please continue ramping up our campaign to get this done, that they want my style of leadership, and that they believe in me. So the support has been incredible. I'm humbled by it.